The great writer Somerset Maugham was described by Time magazine at the time of his death back in 1978 as the most famous author in the world. 80 million copies of his books at that point had been sold. His plays were performed worldwide. His works had led to several good films, and 80 of his short stories had been adapted for television. At his famous home in Europe, he employed one of the best cooks on the Riviera, dined on silver plates, and entertained royalty on a regular basis. He also was one of the unhappiest men to walk the planet. What was wrong with this great novelist and the friend of kings? Everything, he said. My success means nothing to me. All I can think of now are my mistakes. I can think of nothing else but my foolishness. I wish I'd never written a single word. It's brought me nothing but misery. For Somerset Maugham, something was missing in life, something he never found. Actor Paul Newman was once quoted as saying, "I'm just not happy. I don't have inner security, and I don't have the guts to do anything else." Paul Newman, again, seemed to have it all: fame, fortune, good looks, even a great marriage. But something seemed to be missing. That seems to be a rather universal feeling in our society today. Is this all there is? Somehow I expected more, but something seems to be missing. Such emptiness fuels the sale of self-help books by the millions. A New Yorker cartoon years ago poked fun at our whimsical willingness to believe in anything for an easy solution to life's tough problems. The cartoon sketches an ad for a book. The title of the book is Everything in a Nutshell. And the following phrases are written on the cartoon's book ad. It will help you be a better you. You will lose 30 pounds in 30 days. You will buy real estate with no dollars down. You will win friends and influence people. And finally, you need never buy another book again for the rest of your life. Oh, wouldn't it be nice to really have a book like that? We do have one, by the way. Yeah, we do. But something is missing, and in its place we substitute all sorts of things. One of those things is affluence. Tom Sine, in his book, Why Settle More and Miss the Best, told about Mill Valley, California. This was a few decades ago. Mill Valley was nationally touted as one of the most desirable suburban communities in the United States to live in. It's in Central California. The prestigious residences were priced in the millions of dollars and up. Driveways displayed sparkling arrays of Porsches, BMWs, and Winnebagos. The schools were equipped with state-of-the-art computers, lab equipment, and video units. And every Christmas looked as if the department store had exploded in people's living rooms. But research showed a very different side of Mill Valley. Those fabulous dream homes masked one of the highest levels of drug and alcohol abuse in the whole nation. Teen suicides and family breakups were also critical problems. Yet there are many of us who still think that just a few more dollars in our pocket will fill that emptiness and make life right. In addition to affluence, there's fame. Zig Ziglar, in his book, Raising Positive Kids in a Negative World, tells about seeing a well-known interviewer and commentator on TV. At that time, this person undoubtedly knew more celebrities in Hollywood than anyone else. The discussion was about the death of the comedian Freddie Prinze. Freddie had just taken his own life, and the commentator was asked, "Do you know of any other superstar in athletics, music, entertainment, the television industry, or movies who might also be in danger of either deliberately or accidentally taking his or her own life?" After a moment's reflection, this was her answer. "I don't know of anyone who is famous in these fields who is not in danger, because I don't know a single one who is happy." affluence, fame. What about attraction? Bruce W. Thielman, pastor of First Presbyterian Church in Philadelphia, tells a story about his 10th grade biology class. One day his teacher made the class watch him feed a live white mouse to his pet 4-foot boa constrictor that he kept in a cage in the classroom. When the students gathered around the cage, the shiny emerald green serpent was lying casually in somewhat beautiful folds in one corner of the cage. The teacher dropped the 5-inch mouse into the cage. Totally unafraid, the mouse ran all over the cage, up over the snake and over the folds and right in front of his face. It seemed to be having a grand old time. Then slowly but surely, the serpent began to move. It moved so slowly that you could only tell it was moving by looking at the print on the newspaper at the bottom of the cage and watching as it slid from line to line. The mouse noticed the movement, but didn't seem bothered by it. Then as the snake got closer, the mouse became fascinated. And as the snake stealthily moved forward, the mouse came to attention. Its tail wasn't stirring. It was totally engrossed in this moving green thing. It even sat up on its hind legs, holding its little paws in front of it like human hands. With its whiskers still twitching, the mouse sat there watching as the snake came closer. Suddenly there was a blur of green, and before anyone knew it, the snake had wrapped itself around the little mouse and crushed it. That's the way sin works, according to Thielman. Particularly is this true with regard to attraction. Its power lies in its ability to fascinate and to mesmerize. The only thing that it cannot do is fill the emptiness that you feel inside. Affluence, fame, attraction, power. Katharine Hepburn once said, "The world is dominated by power, and you'd better not be weak if you can help it." For many people, power ultimately is the answer. Many of us got a chuckle years back from the story of a little boy who was told to come directly home from school, but he arrived late from school almost every day. His mother asked him, "You get out of school the same time every day. Why can't you get home at the same time, and you got plenty of time to make it on time?" And he said, "It depends on the cars." "What do cars have to do with it?" his mother asked. The youngster explained, "Well, the patrol boy who takes us across the street makes us wait until some cars come along so that he can stop them." That's power. A lady wrote in Redbook that her son David received a Superman cape for his 3rd birthday. Ecstatic, he donned the cape and ran as fast as he could around the yard. Shortly, he returned to the house, clutching the garment in his hand. In disgust, he threw it on the floor and muttered, "This thing doesn't work." No, Superman capes do not work if you're trying to use them to fill that emptiness or to fly. Every wise person who has ever lived knows what is missing: a sense of meaning. Why are we here? Where are we headed? What does it all mean? For many people, there seems to be no meaning. That's the message of our art and literature over the past decades. All art has a message, and it speaks of the times in which it was created. But take a modern artist like Jackson Pollock, for instance. He became famous for his random artwork done purely by chance. If you took your child to a modern art museum and saw a Pollock painting, the child might say, "That looks like a guy just let paint spill all over the canvas." After a knowledgeable assurance that the two of you are looking at the work of a highly skilled artist, you might go to the museum guide and ask him how Pollock painted. The guide would reply, "The guy just let paint spill all over the canvas." In fact, that's exactly what he did. He would rig up paint cans and hang them on a scaffold, tipping slightly, and then place a canvas underneath. But was he just making a joke? No, he was making a statement, and a loud one. His art was random, without purpose, meaningless. And so was his view of the world around him. Life was full of purposelessness for him, and thus his art reflected it. And there are many others in the same boat. Evelyn Underhill, the famous English writer, believed that, quote, we spend most of our lives conjugating three verbs: to want, to have, and to do. And we miss the one verb that is the only one with real significance: to be. We are human beings, not human doings. Something is missing. And it is a sense of meaning, a sense of purpose, a sense of something lasting and worthwhile. And Jesus Christ came into this world to fill that emptiness. I am the bread of life, says Jesus. You can search all over the earth to find that one thing that's missing in your life, but until you feed on Him, you will never be satisfied. One of the spiritual giants of the 20th century was missionary, evangelist, writer F. Stanley Jones. Late in life, Jones had a debilitating stroke that left him immobile and virtually speechless. But it did not crush his spirit. I was talking to a bishop who had retired, he wrote in one of his books. He was frustrated. When he was no longer in the limelight of the bishopric, he was frustrated and told me so. He wanted to know the secret of victorious living. Remember, this guy's a bishop in the church. I told him it was in giving up the innermost self to Jesus. The difference was in the texture of the things that held him. When the outer strands were broken by retirement, the inner strands were not enough to hold him. Fortunately, with me, Jones continues, surrender to Jesus was the primary thing. And when the outer strands were cut by the stroke, my life didn't shake. E. Stanley Jones' life did not shake because he had found the one thing that was missing in his life. Some of you may be familiar with M. Scott Peck's very influential book, The Road Less Traveled. Peck is a psychiatrist and a significant modern thinker. In his follow-up book, People of the Lie, he makes this quite remarkable statement. I referred earlier to Jesus as my Lord. After many years of vague identification with Buddhist and Islamic mysticism, I ultimately made a firm Christian commitment, signified by my baptism on the 9th of March, 1980, at the age of 43, long after I had begun working on this book. My commitment to Christianity is the most important thing in my life, and it is, I hope, pervasive and total. Scott Peck found that one thing that was missing. Have we? We search for that one thing, usually in all the wrong places. We dream of power, of wealth, fame, sex, but none of them can supply what the soul is really hungry for. Bread from heaven. That is our greatest need. And Jesus is that bread. And He'll offer Himself to you again today at this table. Only He can satisfy. Amen.